The Iztaccíhuatl is a dormant volcano in between Mexico City and Puebla. It's the third highest point in Mexico, standing at 17,159 feet. The Iztaccíhuatl stands for the white woman in the Nahuatl language, and the snow-covered peaks resemble the head, breasts, and feet of a woman laying on her side. The volcano sits next to another volcano called the Popocatépetl, and their immense size is something many travelers visiting the area cannot miss on a clear day. The Iztaccíhuatl is considered a seismically active volcano, and the last known eruption was in 1868, according to a few different online sources. The Iztapopo National Park sits on a total of 39,819 hectares, and the names for these volcanoes stems from a Romeo and Juliet-like story. This old legend entails two lovers that never achieved their happy ending. A Tlaxcalteca princess by the name of Iztaccíhuatl fell in love with a handsome brave warrior named Popocatépetl, who also professes love towards her, and the two planned on becoming married after his return from a battle against the Aztecs. A jealous rival of Popocatépetl delivered some false news to the princess that the warrior she loved and waited for had perished in battle, and this crushed her, and ultimately she succumbed to her grief. And Popocatépetl was actually victorious in battle, but when he returned and learned of the devastating news, he himself became overwhelmed with anguish, and he commanded the construction of an enormous tomb to lay beneath the sun, which resulted in a colossal-sized mountain. He ascended this mountain with his lover's body and laid her to rest on top to forever guard her in her eternal slumber, and they would stay together forever facing each other. As time passed, snow continued to cover their bodies, forming two inseparable enormous volcanoes. We took a trip to hike up the Iztaccíhuatl in early October of 2024, and temperatures in Mexico City were at around 50 at night and 70s during the day. In the Iztapopo National Park, the temperatures can drop more due to the elevation. Upon arriving at the park, we quickly began setting up our campsite before taking a short hike around the area to help get acclimated a bit. The guiding agency Mexico y Aventura provided all the necessary equipment for this trip, and that was a transportation that included the pickup and the drop-off, tents, sleeping bags, crampons, trekking poles, helmets, lunch for the main hike, and the campsite dinner. We brought our own hiking backpacks, as well as all the appropriate attire, some snacks, and toiletries. The trip is customizable with the agency. We could have saved some money on bringing our own sleeping bags, for example, but me and my girlfriend chose to travel light. That way we wouldn't have to travel with more baggage on these flights. There are different types of pine trees, with Hartweg's pine being the predominant pine that we saw mostly. Also, we did come across the Mexican holly, although it was not flowering. It was a nice sight. Now, this area in between the two volcanoes is called El Paso de Cortés, or the Pass of Cortés, because it's where the Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés traversed through and laid eyes on Tenochtitlan, the Aztec Empire, for the first time.
Casi no tomo, pero cuando voy así de que un mezcal o
You can also see the tallest volcano in Mexico, El Pico de Orizaba, in the distance. And from this point where we're at, it's probably around a 7-hour drive to get there. Also, this chupacabra came out of nowhere and decided to tag along. Before hitting the hay, our guide Jesus cooked up some good vegetable soup with a side of hash browns. It's a good meal before a long, arduous hike. Tacos and salsa would not be ideal to eat before the hike. There's no restaurant out there. Jesus has been hiking this place since he was a kid. He knows all of its routes. We were in good hands. We woke up at midnight and began hiking up at around 2 a.m. It was cold and windy. Temperatures were in the high 30s. We set off on the path that would get us to see a nice sunrise. This particular route has 4 portillos, or alpine passes, that one must go through, and when reaching the 4th one, it's considered the halfway point up to the summit of the volcano.
¿Y ahorita qué tan alto estamos?
Aquí estamos aproximadamente a 4,600 metros sobre el nivel. La intención es llegar a 5,215.
Oh.
Entonces, pues sí hace.
To the next one. The dogs living out here are very tough. They tag along with whatever hikers they like, and they feed off other snacks and whatever else we offer them. But they make it up and down the volcano just fine. We took breaks as needed to rest up a bit, and the hike can be brutal. If you are considering taking on this trip, I recommend some conditioning months before if you don't already, as it will help substantially endure this hike. This is the tallest point I have ever gone in my life and could feel the effects of the elevation.
Made it to the refugio spot.
This is the most straightforward route to climb the Iztaccíhuatl. It ascends an extremely rocky trail through los Cuatro Portillos up to the refugio del Grupo de los 100. This mountain hut is where we took a long break and ate lunch. At this point, it was already 8:30 a.m. After resting, we continued going up a steep slope of rocky terrain, eventually stopping at a point where my girlfriend and our friend Montserrat decided to end their upwards hike to rest and decided to descend without reaching the summit.
And if you were from here, still go all the way up, it's 3 more hours.
Somewhere along the way.
It wouldn't have been a good idea to split the group up and let the others descend on their own while me and the guide carried on. Jesus saw that I still had it in me to keep going. He gave me the opportunity to keep pushing up to at least make it to the knee part of the volcano. Reaching this point, we would have to put on the crampons and begin more of a horizontal hike compared to what we initially went through. From this point forward, it would have been an easy last hour to get to the summit, according to Jesus. But as you can see, the Iztaccíhuatl has been losing its snow resiliency throughout the years due to climate change, and it'll possibly be all gone here in another couple years. The Popocatépetl volcano is prohibited to hikers and closed off due to its active nature still. After enjoying the views and getting some good footage and pictures, me and Jesus went back down to rejoin the others. We went back down through another route after collectively voting on it. This route had very nice, unforgettable views. We did encounter other hikers in their mid-60s who have been visiting this park since they were kids, and by the looks of it, it was still a walk in the park for them. We made it to our campsite around 6 p.m. after a 16-hour-long ascent and descent. This could have been a couple hours shorter if we were to have sped up the pace. We made it just in time to watch a nice sunset before parting ways with this place. I will be returning to get to the summit. I welcome anyone to join. Also, leave some comments on your experience here. I'd like to hear it. And please subscribe and give me a follow on Instagram. I'll leave my info below. Also, feel free to message me for any questions.